Councilmember Musser, please.
I also wanted to speak to the methanol refinery proposed in the Tacoma area. Councilmember Back and I attended the PIC, the Public Issues Committee meeting of the Sound Cities Association, where the Federal Way representative brought it up. And while I had seen clippets of it via social media and as part of WIRA 9, there's been some conversations about, as a state that's worked so diligently on the preservation of our watersheds and the restoration of salmon streams back to Puget Sound, that this kind of, we're a state that's trying to make plastic bags illegal or, curb away from them, that we would be building a refinery whose primary purpose is manufacturing stuff that makes plastic bags. It's a $3.4 billion methanol refinery. It's owned, the Northwest Innovation Works is owned by the Chinese government. It's estimated to use 10,000 gallons of fresh water each minute. 10,000 gallons of fresh water each minute, and enough electricity to power 320,000 households. Also used in the chemical process are huge amounts of fracked natural gas pumped via a pipeline. And the sole purpose of the methanol would be to make more plastics in China. Also, what came forward was filed with the Tacoma City Clerk, I believe, Monday, is an initiative that they've asked the Tacoma City Clerk to approve, which would make it to the fall ballot, that any business that proposed using 1 million gallons of water per day would have to go forward to the voters to be approved. So the Tacoma City Clerk is currently considering that ballot initiative. One thing, the City of Tacoma was proposing 3 public hearings. They had to move the second hearing to the Tacoma Convention Center. Over 1,000 people attended it. The third of 3 hearings is coming up this Tuesday night. That's the 16th of February at 5 p.m. at Meeker Middle School in Tacoma. So I would also support what Councilmember Back has said, which I would like our council sooner than later to craft a resolution against the project. We are the waterland city. Therefore, we hold clean waters of Puget Sound a priority and support the efforts to ensure a sustainable future for our waters. And I think. Is
that a motion?
I make a motion that we direct staff. Second.
Motion was made by Councilmember Musser and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Pennington.
And that we would also add language in that resolution that we support our neighboring city, Federal Way, and any efforts that they may pursue to preserve the fresh waters of Puget Sound. And then, like I said, I think it's, as a resolution, it's, if anything, it's the flag of, we're in, and then as this progresses, I'm not quite sure. I know that several of the labor unions support this, jobs and labor jobs, and but it sounded like, reading through it, that by the time the construction had actually finished, that it would only be looking at 250 actual permanent jobs in this whole refinery. So I think there's a lot. Again, I don't know what the relationship, it's depending on which literature you read, if the city of Tacoma is for it, if it's a Port of Tacoma project. But I would encourage, all residents, reach out to your City of Seattle port commissioners. They do know that the ports do try to work very, conjointly in certain issues, and if maybe we can have some pressure from our port. This is the second one in Washington State alone planned. There's another one being planned in Eastern Washington, and another one being planned in Oregon. Yeah, so they want to put a second one on the Columbia River. So this is huge for the Northwest, and like I said, the more I started reading about it this week, and then it came up last night, I am going to make a recommendation also to Sound Cities that the PIC take it up as a priority this legislative session, or not this session, but this year, that that all the small, this affects all of us.
We have a motion on the table. Further discussion. Councilmember Kaplan.
Yeah, you said resolution, correct?
Resolution, yes.
I think that there should be bullet points that point out the fact that there have been issues regarding pipeline safety, and that connecting to the existing pipeline and having to move that from essentially an I-5 corridor out to the Tacoma Tide Flats, where the facility would be, poses issues for that area. I think it It needs to address water quality, obviously. It also needs to address air quality. There's a discussion about a lot of fumes that are given off, as was discussed by Rob and Melissa. There's been a number of issues regarding that. What impact is that potentially going to have on with the Pollution Control Agency and their air quality issuances on an ongoing basis? There are concerns about that. There's been a great deal of work that's been done to try and restore salmon and salmon habitat, not just salmon, but salmon habitat. We've been the beneficiary of it from our 9 funds relative to the restoration of Des Moines Creek and opening up the trail. There's issues involving all of that that I think need to be pointed out in the resolution as concerns. I know that the tribes, we should find out what the tribe's stance is as well, see if we can tie that in and unify the comments from all the jurisdictions. And I'm curious if anyone on Vashon has weighed in on it. They were the beneficiary of the Asarco smelter also, and would be directly impacted as well. It's not that far, so I think we should try and find out if Vashon is weighing in at all in the community, and that would help bolster the resolution.
Councilmember Beck?
Councilmember Kopang from City of Federal Way did express that they would love to have us as an ally in this fight, and they do intend on reaching out to their state legislators as well.
Thank you. Councilmember, no? Anyone else wishing to comment? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0.